Hello and welcome back to the Know Community channel. My name is Varun Shah, and this is going to be part 2 of the future video providers, and it's focusing on what is Movies Anywhere. So if you actually watched part 1, which was the history of the video providers and how we got to that situation, you'll recall that I mentioned that when I was covering Movies Anywhere in this video, I was going to be using a bunch of unnamed sources, and it was going to be alleged this and that, and I wasn't going to be able to say with certainty if it was going to be a thing. Well, scratch that. Between the time I finished recording that video and today, new information has come to light that pretty much confirms that Movies Anywhere is going to happen. It's a question of when, not if anymore. I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to talk about that in the next section. This is a big deal because it is going to be the essentially unifying video locker system. We currently have Ultraviolet and Disney Movies Anywhere. This is the next step. So let's talk about what it actually is. So let's get started. So the first question is, what is Movies Anywhere? And the easy answer is, it is an evolution of Disney Movies Anywhere, which is the current locker system for Disney, Marvel, and Lucasfilm titles. What that means is any title that you purchase on Vudu, Microsoft Video, Google Play, Amazon Video, or iTunes, as well as several other lesser used providers. If you watched the last video, you realize if you purchase a movie on one of these and you're linked to your Disney Movies Anywhere account, it transfers to all of them. So essentially, that same technology is going to be applied to Movies Anywhere. The big difference is that it's going to include a lot more studios like Sony, Warner Brothers, Lionsgate, just to name a few. There are several others that haven't been confirmed yet. Again, I'm basing this off of information I found through roundabout means that I'll discuss a little bit later in the video. So the question is, why is this important? It's important because Ultraviolet, as it is today, the other major video locker system, is only supported currently by Vudu and Fandango now in the US, as well as Flixster and several others internationally. This would be a huge step forward to unifying everybody under one locker system, as well as supporting all of these major providers, because as I discussed again in part 1, Vudu and Fandango now aren't as mainstream as iTunes, Amazon Video, and Microsoft Video. This is again using Disney's proprietary key chest software, and it's sharing it with the other movie studios so that they can all be using the same system. So in summary, if you look at what Disney Movies Anywhere is today, it is pretty much what Movies Anywhere is going to be, except it's going to be with all of these major studios, not just Disney. So the next thing you're probably asking yourself is, how can I prove this? How do I know that Movies Anywhere is happening? So I'm going to quickly give you guys a rundown of the proof / background digging that I've found through reading forums and keeping an eye on the news and different little reports that have come out. So first off, as you can see right here, there is a Vudu Beta page for Movies Anywhere that went live earlier today. And here you can see there's a little temp video that I'm showing here. It's actually just a video of Disney Movie Anywhere intro video, but it's also here on this page, it's detailing that all these movie studios are going to be included, as well as 5 free movies that you can get when you link your collection to Movies Anywhere. You can see those 5 titles there, and then if you click the Get Started page and you have a Vudu account, it shows you where you can link and sign up. To be clear, I would not sign up for this beta unless you were actually invited, because it might cause problems for you down the line. Nonetheless, I will have linked the beta page in the link dump below. The next piece of evidence is again from Vudu, and that is an ongoing list of movies being added to a Movies Anywhere list on the Vudu backend. Again, I'm going to link to how this list was found and being made. I'll also link to a copy of the list so you can see that there's a huge number of titles, from old classics to new titles that are just coming out today. So far, the evidence I've provided is directly from Vudu. That's one source, but another article that was actually published earlier this week was from the Android police, and they were looking into the Google Play video app and digging into the APK file, and there they found more references to Movies Anywhere, saying that you could link your Google Play account to Movies Anywhere eventually. Again, that's not definitive proof. You can see the screenshot above. It still says Disney Movies Anywhere, but when you look into the actual details of the APK file, you see Movies Anywhere is listed there. And lastly, the fourth piece of proof that I found is looking just at a digital copy slip from a new movie release, this one being Warner Brothers. If you look on the sheet, it says you can link to a list of approved locker services and to go to this website. When you go to that website right now, obviously Movies Anywhere is not listed, but why would they be mentioning other locker services when the only locker service currently available is Ultraviolet? And then when they give you examples, they give you parentheses, e.g. Ultraviolet. Again, does that mean Ultraviolet will continue? We don't know, but what I'm trying to say is this digital copy slip clearly indicates that other locker services will be available, i.e. Movies Anywhere. The next thing I thought about is, why would these movie studios and video providers allow this to happen? Why do they want this? Why does Movies Anywhere make sense? Why do locker systems make sense in general? And I think it is partially to do with what I discussed in part 1 about the movie studios not wanting one provider to become a monopoly on video on demand and essentially own the market, be able to set pricing. It's why they launched Ultraviolet in the first place. They were trying to wrestle control away from iTunes after they saw what happened in the music industry. So Ultraviolet started this trend, and it was okay for a while because it was using the big studios, but it was still ending up on these kind of fringe services like Flickster, Vudu, Cinema Now. Some of them are gone, as I discussed in part 1. The main providers people use today, though, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Video, etc., these are the ones that people know, they trust, and they use because they have a proven backend. They have been proven to run smoothly and work well. You don't have that with some of these older services or fringe services that have closed down. And again, while Ultraviolet launched first, Disney Movies Anywhere launched afterwards, and they clearly built their locker system with these big providers in mind. They built it with them and they got the ball rolling. When Ultraviolet was launched, my understanding was the studios launched their service and said, hey, you want to join? You come to us and we'll let you join. But we're building this our way. Whereas it seems that Disney Movies Anywhere was built with these providers in mind and trying to work with these guys to actually build a better locker system. It's why, in my opinion, it is the better locker system and has, of course, been the preferred locker system because it lets them watch their content on the video provider that they prefer, which traditionally is one of these big 4 or 5. And in a way, it's kind of what it was like with DVDs and Blu-ray discs. These movie studios, they created a universal medium, the DVD or the Blu-ray disc, and they let people use whatever player they wanted. They want to use a Panasonic player, they want to use a Sony player, they want to use their PlayStation, they want to use their Xbox, it doesn't matter. The point was, you had a universal medium, that disc. That disc was a universal constant. It played on all of these traditional players the same way. In a way, they're trying to create a locker system that mirrors that. It doesn't matter which provider you choose. You choose Amazon, you choose Vudu. It doesn't make a difference. You buy it on one, it plays on the other. You get something on sale on Google Play, great, you can download it on iTunes. They're trying to raise competition, they're trying to make it so that there is no single provider that wins, but everybody can watch and consume their content where they please, how they please. And at the end of the day, this is extremely important for them because they want people to use these video on demand providers. They want people to start using them and slowly get away from discs. Why? Because discs cost them money to manufacture and produce. And second of all, we all know that digital is eventually going to be the future. They'd prefer you to get that way, so that way you can't resell your discs, you can't. And at the end of the day, while we are happy that they're supporting us in this way, they're also going to make more money, hopefully, but with these new deals. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about are the lingering questions that remain. First and foremost for myself, what is going to happen to TV shows? Because Ultraviolet currently supports TV shows, Disney Movies Anywhere never supported it, and as of right now, the Movies Anywhere list that has come out so far lists no TV shows. So how is sharing of that going to happen? Is it going to be that Ultraviolet will shut down and I'll essentially just have my movies and TV shows that were not Ultraviolet enabled only on Vudu? So what happens to that in the future? And same ditto for people who have bought their TV shows on iTunes or whatever their provider of choice is. Next is, what is going to happen to UHD and 4K content? Will that share the same way it is sharing currently with Ultraviolet? Because UHD is a big deal now. A lot of people are using 4K TVs. A lot of people are buying 4K content. How is that going to work? Especially now that iTunes launched this initiative to upgrade all HD titles to 4K if you already had them, and also is now making a universal pricing scheme for HD and 4K content. Will all of my titles that are HD on Vudu import into iTunes in 4K? And if that's the case, then iTunes is again going to become that big leader for all of these providers and will essentially outcompete unless these other providers agree to do that same HD to 4K upgrade. That's a question that still isn't answered, and it's unclear how that's going to roll out. Next is what is going to happen to sharing, because Ultraviolet has sharing enabled at the locker level, meaning that I have a bunch of sub accounts on Ultraviolet, and each of my other people who share with me have their own account and log in at all of these providers that they want. Whereas for Disney Movies Anywhere, they put the sharing aspect on the provider end. Therefore, if you want to share your content on iTunes, you have to enable family sharing on iTunes. If you want to do it on Google Play, you have to do it on Google Play. It's a question because on Vudu, the current sharing aspect is only through Ultraviolet. There is no current Disney sharing on Vudu. So how will that roll out? How will that work out in the end for sharing, and what will happen to my content that is currently already shared through the Ultraviolet system? And lastly, what is going to happen to the movie studios that are still holding out from joining Movies Anywhere? Last I checked, Lionsgate and MGM were still holdouts. Some of their titles are obviously Ultraviolet enabled, some are not, so what happens to those titles going forward? Will there just be a kind of fractured locker system? It's going to be kind of messy if that's the case. We don't know the full details. I don't know them. Hopefully we'll find out once Movie Anywhere finally has a formal launch and rollout, hopefully in the coming weeks. The fact that we have these beta pages and this information now being processed in the actual app files for Google Play, for instance, means it's probably going to happen soon. It's a question of when, again, not if. We will of course see what happens when it happens. I will of course make another video when there is an official rollout to explain and maybe answer some of the questions that I posed here, and of course update any information that I may have gotten wrong. Again, everything I've provided to you here today is based on information that I will link in the link dump. I believe, as far as I know, that all of it is accurate and they're coming from legitimate and recognized sources. Hopefully others will take the initiative to also check into this and maybe find out more information that I couldn't dig up myself. Finally, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe. I hope you'll leave a comment to give me feedback. What do you guys think of Movies Anywhere? Where do you think it's going to go? I would appreciate any feedback you can give me. And of course, if you'd like to, you can watch part 1, which will tell you how we got to this kind of messy system where we're at today. And of course, there is other content available in the video. I will have a playlist showing up here in the corner. Thank you very much for watching and have a fantastic day.